then Maria Sumo technique review, and then program design, and then we will look at Eddie's program review, because that would be an amazing example to use. Yeah, and hopefully that you do email me and Karl. Yeah, and after you've filled the program like checklist as well, you need to email us like a week beforehand, not the week during. Okay, because it does give us time to talk and work things out if there is things that needs to be changed, especially since that we have these calls now. If you email me the week before, I can always discuss this on Thursday as well, so everyone can learn from it too. Yeah, because it just gives us real life examples. Yeah, because like Karl said, he suggested I could give an example of how I write a program. That is true. But if you guys always see how I write things and you don't take from your personal experience, you won't be able to develop as fast. Yeah, because it's not something that you've done. And something that I told Constance and Dunya as well the other day is like, you guys have the luxury of having a mentor who's your trainer. Yeah. So the way I actually learned a lot through programming was through Karl's programming, who I constantly like questioned him, not to be a dick. Like sometimes I question why, because I just fucking hated the exercise. But he could give me a logical answer, and I was like, yeah, cool, it makes sense. I'll do it begrudgingly, but I'll do it. And then I've gone through other programs as well from like other coaches because, mostly Basses, but I wanted to see what it was about. Yeah, and I'm training with Kevin as well because I also want to see how he programs too. And through these guys, with Bass's one, I had to kind of work it out by myself afterwards. Like, this is why this all works. And the more I studied about programming, the more I understood why these programs worked the way it did, or which one I should select next. And with you guys, you have Karl. So when he does email you your programs, don't just take it and go, cool, I'm going to do this. He does give you guys a brief anyway with a loom, but if you still don't understand, or if there's like intricate things that you want to ask, you really should, because then he can like tell you why he's done it this way. You get to perform it, you get to go through the experience of it, and you get to learn why it's like this, and you get to see the results of it. Yeah. So this is why like Karl does your programs for you, and this is why he trained you guys, so you guys can get first-hand experience. So don't let that go to waste. All right, cool. So let's start off with Dunya's question. Let's just grab her. Dunya, can you repeat your question for me? It was about shoulder functionality, just because my Facebook is taking a long time to load.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, I was reading one of the articles you sent, and it said that that it's important that we identify if a shoulder joint is impingement has an impingement. So how can we identify if the shoulder is properly functioning?
Okay, so I'm gonna before we go into that, so Eddie and Maria and Jordan, this will be a nice refresher for you as well. But Karl was really, really nice and pretty much scanned and I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys, but he sent out an email a while back and he scanned literally every single piece of paper of every booklet I've ever gotten from Bass, for you guys, and he emailed it all out. If you haven't read any of these, I strongly advise you to read it. Yeah, because it's going to give you a lot of information. Even though it's things that you might have learnt before, it's explained in another way, and it might make you not just appreciate the information, but it'll also make you understand it a little bit better. Because when you get all these different perspectives of coaches telling you the same thing in their own words, it's kind of like cues, you absorb the information better as well. So this is something I really recommend you guys to find that email and to read it. Yeah. So nice work on that, Dunya. Thanks for reading some of the booklets already. So the functionality of the shoulder to assess if it is working properly is, well, once again, we're going to look at structural balance. Okay. So remember that, so who can, I'll ask Maria this. Maria, what's the definition of structural balance? What should we look for and do when we're thinking about structural balance?
Where there is a weak link what is not working properly.
Yep. What does that cause?
Imbalances.
Okay. Yeah, imbalances, and then what happens from that? Right. So, guys, like this, I've given you a very consistent message over the past, I don't know, like how long we've been locked down? 4 or 5 weeks now. Karl's giving you a very consistent message from the day you guys started training with him. Yeah. And the thing is, structural balance, yeah, it's not, okay, yes, weakness, okay, yes, imbalances, yeah, but what do these things lead? Yeah, the weakness causes imbalances and restrictions, but what does it lead to? Okay, so one more time, the definition of structural balance means, okay, it means around a joint, 360 degrees of that joint, and Eddie said it really well, 360 degrees of that joint, okay, has equal amount of muscle, okay, performing equally at the same time. Okay, so that means that and what Dunya was asking about, the functionality of the shoulder, 360 degrees around is all working. Okay, and what that does is it's going to not just secure the joint, but centralize where the bone enters into that joint. Okay? So if we're talking about the shoulder, and remember the role of, and what we want to see in a structurally balanced person is that 360 degrees around, yeah, this glenoid fossa, which is the shoulder socket, okay? Around the shoulder joint, there's equal amounts of muscle all functioning properly. And what that means is to centralize where the bone enters the socket, which is the humerus, into the glenoid fossa. Yeah. If this was a function, like if this was a good working shoulder, okay, as you'd say it, or has proper functionality, yeah, this is kind of what it should look like. Yeah. Shoulder set back into position. Yeah. Humerus like entering the joint properly. Okay. Now, if we have imbalances, if we have weakness, Eddie, I'm going to ask you this: what's something that could happen? What is something we can see in the body?
See, if there is a weakness it's how to say to go towards the the back muscles is not able to pull back and centralize.
One second. When you guys say back muscles, yeah, we're past that. You guys are better than that. Don't say back muscles. Don't say butt muscles. Don't say leg muscles. Don't say thigh. Yeah, you guys are way past that. Don't say chest. Okay.
Okay.
What's the muscles?
So mid-trap rhomboids, mid-trap rhomboids, rear delts are not strong enough to centralize the shoulder.
Yeah. What else? Big one. Or small ones.
Also trap 3, trap 4.
Hmm?
Also trap 3, trap 4.
No, you're missing 2 small ones.
2 small ones. The infraspinatus and teres minor.
Yeah, so it's not just the external rotators, also the internal rotators. Yeah. Suprascapularis, spinatus, infraspinatus teres minus, okay? Okay, and also teres major, okay?
Mm.
So 4, including teres major. All of these, so you don't just need internal rotation, or you don't just need external rotation, you need all, okay? You need all of them to actually work, yeah? We don't just train one way, which is always just constantly external rotation, yeah? We also do the internal rotation as well. Just like with the hips, we need internal external rotation, yeah?
I think something to add to this, Tats, would be if you guys went to the doctor and you said, "Oh, I've got these symptoms," and your doctor goes, "Yeah, I think you got something," how would you respond to the doctor? How would you feel? Or like, "Jordan, your ankle hurts," and they do all these tests and they go, "Yeah, your ankle's fucked." How would you feel about that physio?
You're fucked.
Well, yeah, pretty much told me what I already knew.
Yeah.
So,
How about you, Maria? If you are, stressing about your food and you're working with a nutritionist.
Like, tell me why.
Yeah, I told you why. Your ankle's fucked. Or, there's something going on that causes you to eat lots of food. I know what it is, but you're eating a lot of food. You shouldn't do that. Would you guys want to see that professional?
nope.
Oh, okay. Eddie, would you?
No.
Cool. So the way you do one thing is how you do everything. So it's interesting that your back muscles, not intentionally you're doing it, but you say you wouldn't see a professional that would do that, yet you're choosing to be that professional. So let's be just conscious that we don't want to see those people, yet some of us are choosing to represent that. As Tats has said, and we've been in lockdown 11 weeks now, he's been saying this for 11 weeks, yet we're still making that mistake. You guys got to pull yourself up, pull yourself up on it when you're noticing it. Like, just really ask yourself, like, am I doing it? Oh shit, I am. Cool. Sorry, Tats. I'm really sorry about that, but thanks for pulling me up on it. Really glad that you're doing this. So, from me to Tats, I am really thankful that he does do this, pulls everyone up on it, because, guys, this is where you have these great relationships with health professionals, and it's quite funny because we all do it. We all make those little mistakes. I did it with a person that I saw today, and she laughed at me and then was like, okay, now abduct your thigh, because she goes, lift your knee. I went, don't you mean abduction? Sometimes we have these slips, but we got to just keep ourselves on point.
That's awesome, Karl, because a great example of why I even went to Amy in the first place. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know how we became we started a really good a working relationship, a training relationship, and also amazing friendship. Is I don't trust chiropractors. Yeah, I had a really bad experience with one, and I was like, fuck off, don't ever fucking touch me again. Whatever, you guys are jerk offs. I don't give a fuck. All you do is crack people. Yeah, so when I saw Amy in the gym, I was like, oh yeah, whatever. It's we had a great relationship in the first place, because really funny. Apparently, her and Karl didn't really get along. Hey, Manny. Hey, how's it going? And her and one of our older coaches didn't really get along. Oh, good to finally see you, Manny. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually just telling the story about how I met our chiropractor Amy, or our doctor on hand. So when I met her, I was just like, yeah, you're just another fucking chiro, fuck off, don't talk to me. But one day, she was doing these free screenings, and I was like, let's go and see her. Yeah, you know what, I'll give it a go, yeah, because she seemed nice. And she started talking about, yeah, look, your back's a bit jacked. No, she didn't say it like that. She actually used a lot more scientific terms. I can't recall all the everything she said, but basically, she was just like, look, it seems like your SI joint is that's the location of the pain of it, and it does look like your erectors and your QLs. It could be the fact that it's so shortened and so tight that it actually pulls on it. So you're actually experiencing anterior pelvic tilt more excessively on one side, which is why you're experiencing pain. But you're a coach, you probably already know that. And because she explained it to me, I was like, oh, okay, you kind of know your stuff. Yeah. What else? And this was before I knew a lot about anatomy as well, because I was very green. And then she started talking about I just, I don't really recommend deadlifting to a lot of people. And, that really pissed me off, because I was like, how dare you? Okay, fine. You're just another one of those doctors. But then she gave me a lot of explanations, why, or what she saw in patients, the incorrect things they could be doing, which could cause specific injuries. Yeah, and she wasn't vague about it either. She actually, and I was like, hold up, do you mind just saying this on my Instagram? And she actually gave me a 3-minute explanation in detail of why she doesn't recommend this, instead of just being, yeah, nah, deadlifts are shit. like a lot of practitioners will say, oh, just or to a lot of women, like practitioners, like without even like knowing what they lift, they'll be like, oh yeah, just don't lift so heavy. It's weights. There's always weights. Don't lift. Yeah. So she wasn't that like practitioner to me. She went above and beyond and proved to me that she knew her shit. Yeah. And that's how I trusted her. I was like, cool, she actually gives a fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna choose her. So that using correct terminology, not only does it help you as a coach to understand the body better, to program better, to cue better, yeah, but at the same time can also build like fantastic relationships because it shows that you know your shit. You don't have to be too intricate. You don't have to be extremely technical and use big words, But if you say back, yeah, like if the client is very green and they don't really know, look, if you say back, explain to them, look, I'm going to say it's your back muscles, but when I say back, understand that I mean it's an intricate of muscles. So there's other names. There's rhomboids, there's your external rotators that could not be like holding your shoulder back into place. It could be trap 3-4, middle fibers, lower fibers of the trap. It could be not so much rear delt that more helps assist in external rotation, not holds it in place. Okay, so these are the things you could actually say to a client. That's what I mean by back. See, there's a lot of things that goes on. It's not just your back or your lat, as a lot of people think it is. So that is why like Karl and I are hammering you guys, like don't just use like those words. Explain to the clients, some will really appreciate it. And if they don't really care as much, that's fine. But at least you educated them. Yeah? And that information will stick and will benefit them in some way. So going back into what we're talking about, which is Donia's question. So Eddie, gonna continue on with you. If it was a functioning shoulder, yeah, this is sitting in place, which I wish my posture was. If we were to see an imbalance, if we were to see a weakness, a breakdown in the structure of the shoulder, which means the functionality of the shoulder isn't as optimal, and at the same time, the bone that enters the socket isn't centralized anymore, what's something we could see? Ed?
Internal rotation.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and what would that look like? Just tell me how to move. You don't have to be like. Just tell me how to move.
Okay, just let's say the shoulders are. Let's say with internal rotation, shoulders are moving forward.
Okay. So Donia, I hope you saw that. Yeah. It's really easy to assess the functionality of a shoulder if it's working properly. If it does, yeah, it'll look like this. If it doesn't, which we see in a lot of people now, which is becoming a very common thing, we'll see this.
Okay.
Yeah. See how like where the humerus enters into the glenoid fossa is now forward. Yeah. It's not centralized in position anymore. It's forward. We actually do see this, yeah, and that's one example, and it's a really common example. Okay, and here's a fun fact: a lot of fucking heavy benches in the powerlifting world, yeah, they're all slightly internally rotated. Women sometimes, or most of the time, are also slightly internally rotated. Yeah, it's because women has a lot of mass on the chest. Yeah, some dudes do as well. But for a lot of powerlifters, well, it's because they got like for the really strong benches, it's because they got big fuck off adductors. Yeah, they got big fuck off pecs. They got big fuck off lats, and because they both are powerful adductors. Yeah, and remember where the lats insert. Okay. Or where it attaches to, all right, which is around the front of the humerus, okay, and all the way down into near the back of the pelvis, okay, because it's so big, and it actually when it remember, when things shorten, when a muscle contracts, it pulls it forward. Yeah. These two powerful adductors have now positioned your humerus in the incorrect position because the back muscles, or the rhomboids, the external rotators, middle lower fibers of the trapezius, they're not able to hold it back into position. Okay. So that's one way we can quickly see the functionality of the shoulder is not optimal. Yeah. But understand that with these powerlifters, if they do have internally rotated shoulders, I can guarantee you 99% of the time, if you want them to break through a plateau of the bench, they have great technique, yeah, and they know how to progressively overload. They have been adhering, to their program to a certain extent, yeah. I can guarantee you the one thing that they're missing is the fluffy exercises, like the external rotators, like external rotations, yeah. They're not really adhering to that or anything to work like maybe even like Rideltia does assist in lateral rotation, which is external rotation. Okay. Maybe they're not doing the lock big three, which also helps the rotator cuff muscles like stimulate and also strengthen over time. Maybe they're not doing any prone T raises to help the rhomboids. Yeah, there's a lot of things they could be doing, but they're not really doing it because they consider it fluffy, like boring exercises. But I guarantee you, those are the things that's going to help them break the plateau. Yeah, and those are also the exercises exactly those exercises that's going to get your hunchback client in a better posture. Okay. I've had many clients that do that. Those work on those muscles and know how to row properly, that have gotten out of the inner cross syndromes, the upper cross syndromes. They've gotten rid of shoulder pain and neck pain as well. Okay, so if you want now, the next question was from you to assess impingement of the shoulder. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say this for the sake of a disclaimer. Like, we're not doctors. Don't just assess and be like, cool, you got impingement. Yeah. Always give yourself a bit of leeway. Yeah. Speculate. Maybe you have impingement. Yeah. There are tests we can do that. One easy one is, well, look, the easiest one is if they're doing bench press, or if they're doing even even if they're doing what's it called like abduction of the shoulder, they'll immediately feel a pinch. Yeah, if they abduct the humerus, if they go into like flexion, okay, or even adduction sometimes, they'll immediately feel a pinch in it. That's impingement, so there's pain. Okay. Second thing is if another test you can do is actually hold the arm in front, yeah, like straight in front of them. Rotate the arm inwards. And get them to resist you pushing them down. Just 2 fingers, not too much. Get them to resist this. And if they can't, and if they feel immediate sharp pain, it's probably going to be impingement as well. So that's one thing you can test. Yeah, impingement is sucky. It is nasty. It will go away. Yeah, but you do have to work those fluffy exercises, like I mentioned. Okay. Now, can anyone here tell me, like, what is the muscle that is impinged? Yeah, what are we feeling when we feel shoulder impingement pain? Anyone take a crack?
When bone is not centralized and they tighten up and start to pinch the nerve.
Yeah, it's not really nerves.
Is it the biceps tendon?
Close, very close. Yeah, close but not so close. Actually, it's the supraspinatus. Yeah, one of the external rotator muscles. Okay, so the supraspinatus actually runs in a very, very small crevice. Yeah, in the shoulder joint, near the in the AC joint. Okay. And what happens is that when you go into this is why we want people to have thoracic extension, to have retraction, depression of the scapula when they go to bench, yeah? Because even if they just lowered the arm like slightly, even by 10 degrees, yeah, from this 90-degree position, even just 10 degrees down, that is enough of a gap, okay, in that shoulder like joint to open up and allow that supraspinatus to run through, okay, without getting pinched when you're going through motion of like pressing. Yeah. That's what usually happens when a lot of people go into a 90-degree like press or if you want to say adduction as well, just because there's no space now. And even holding up here, like, it doesn't feel nice, you know? It feels like it already feels like there's something like it's pinching in the joint. Yeah, some people say it's a bursa sac being inflamed, but a lot of the time you're actually just feeling that like a supraspinatus getting like rubbed and inflamed in the wrong way. Yeah, and why some people actually confuse it as the bicep tendon. Oh man, Andrea talked about this in his seminar like 2 years ago. There's one that kind of like mimics the bicep tendon. Yeah, I think it was one of the external. Let me get back to you on that, James. It was one of the external rotator muscles as well. It's in a different area though, and if it pinches, it stimulates the bicep tendon. It kind of mimics that. Yeah, and what else it could be is because I think it's the same thing that shares the pain receptors share the same root nerve in the neck as well, and if that gets pissed off, it can be from impingement, but because it shares the same receptors, if that gets pissed off, it actually does piss off your bicep tendon as well, and that's what causes pain too. Leave that with me. I'll remember it. I have it in my notes somewhere from like 2 years ago. Yeah, but more commonly, the reason for impingement is because 90-degree elbow, no room for the shoulder socket to open. Yeah, supraspinatus gets caught, and when you're benching, yeah, that's what's inflamed. Okay. Cool. Any questions on that? If not, we'll continue.
Thank you, Tats.
Yeah. James, like, no worries. James, like, did what I say like ring a bell with like the bicep tendon?
Sorry, like the uni compacted so much stuff into one go. I don't remember it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That was like, for me, that was like, see what I mean? Like, if you guys don't write it down, you forget it. If you don't talk about it, you forget it. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, the only reason why I guessed bicep tendon is because I know bicep tendon attaches really high up into the shoulder.
Yes, but I think it was one of the external rotator muscles that actually like links into that, and when it gets pinched, it stimulates
It would
like
be
pain.
subscap.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it was super scapularis. I need to.
The subscap attaches to the front of the humerus. That's why, like, it's the only one that attaches to the front of the humerus off the top of my head.
Well, that's the thing with the subscap. Yeah, if with the subscapularis, that's the one I'm talking about. So if you guys do like have a 90-degree like at like elbow position when you press, that's when it gets annoying. So maybe that was it. Yeah, maybe that was it. But just to go through again, quick thing. So the bicep tendon actually attaches. No, that was different. Okay, so real fun fact, guys. I learned this a while back from Andrew as well, from reading one of his articles. So the bicep tendon and actually one of the nerves, or it was a muscle that runs through near the scapula. They share the same root nerve, yeah, at the base of the neck. So they share the same pain receptors. Yeah. Did Karl just mention post something? What's this? What's the reference? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Karl. Yeah, but it shares the same like root nerve, in that neck. So the thing is, like, when you have poor scapular control, yeah, like you're doing pull-ups or you're doing rows or something, and you have poor scapular control, you can actually piss off that it's either nerve or muscle there, yeah, around near the subscap, and it actually will set off the pain receptors at the root nerve of your neck. But because things are jumbled and the connections are wrong, it actually usually a lot of times will set off pain in your elbow joint instead, which people keep thinking it's tendonitis, yeah, or just brachyradialis, like tendonitis as well. That's going up, but it's not. Yeah, and I actually did this with one of our clients, Aaron, as well, because for a long time kept getting needled like in his elbow, and I was like, you know what? I don't think this is it. Yeah, I don't think this has any correlation. Let's give it a go with just scapular pull-ups. Yeah, hold at the top. We're gonna work more on rows, like proper rows. Let's drop off all the weight. Let's make sure you're doing form properly. And guess what? In 2 weeks' time, his bicep pain was gone. Yeah, so that's something cool. Yeah, awesome. All right, so cool. Moving on. Next, I'm actually going to present this one. So we've got Maria's form. Maria, it will probably be quicker if you present on your screen, please. If you can pull up your sumo.
One sec. Wait.
Let's see if I can load it on my screen faster. My connections.
One second. It haven't. 1 second.
So
The videos.
10 seconds ago.
The videos doesn't. They are not on my.
Can you go on our chat? Because it was there on Facebook.
Exactly, but the last chat is showing me is 2 days ago. The puppy video that I sent you. It
Okay,
doesn't.
well, let's save that for our next then, yeah, because now we're going to go into program design, yeah, and I've loaded it on my page. Hopefully, it loads. I've just got really low bars at the moment. So, guys, sorry, Maria. So we'll come back to that later. Okay, so we're going to go into program design. Dunya actually did raise a quite good question to me, and it's just that I've given you guys a lot of theory on program design. But here's the thing, and James, Jordan, Karl, I don't know if this is a refresher for you, but it probably is, to be honest. But it's always good to learn how to talk to, and I don't mean in fairness all this, but to beginners, yeah, who are designing programs, because we actually, when we're teaching people, I feel like we've actually missed a couple of steps sometimes because it's so obvious. Or at least to me, I've missed a couple of steps in mentoring trainers because it's so basic. I forgot about it. Yeah. So having Dunya raise this question to me was really good because over the past couple of weeks, I filled you guys up with a lot of knowledge on program design, and there's going to be a little bit more today, and there will always be more. And for her, it was cool. I have all this information, but I don't know where to start. So we're going to go through a quick, a step-by-step, how I break down and how I plan and periodize someone's program. Yeah. And once we know that, we're going to go into Eddie's program to see if you guys can help me out with his program as well, because it will be a real case study. So one thing before we jump into it, yeah, is talking about the formula for volume. Can anyone tell me what is actually the full formula for volume? So fun fact, it's not just reps and sets. What else is it?
Is frequency as well?
Not frequency.
Tempo and reps.
No, not tempo. Not reps.
Weight.
I already said reps. What is it, Eddie?
Weight.
Yeah, good. Very good. Thank you. So the formula for volume is actually reps times sets times load, which gives you total volume. Yeah, cool. Or total tonnage. Yeah, because you need to remember one big thing about volume. Everyone always thinks that it's just sets. Yeah, because when we think about accumulating fatigue, everyone has always said, oh, it's due to volume. It's due to volume. Yeah, so everyone always tapers off sets. Don't get me wrong, that's usually the thing we'll look to when we say volume. But a lot of people forget the fact that load is also volume. Yeah, let's have a quick example, right? We've got someone who's squatting 5 by 5, for 100 kilos. Okay, that's 2,500. Is it? Can someone correct me if I'm wrong? Is it 250?
Yes, 2,500.
Thank you. So 2,500. Okay, and then we got someone squatting 5 by 5 by 200. Yeah, I'm really shit at math. Someone help me out.
That's 5,000.
Thank you. So we got someone now who's squatting 5,000 kilos. Now can you guys see that like load actually has a big effect on like volume and also has a big effect on fatigue as well, especially the more advanced or strong the lifter. Okay? Regardless of body weight. Yeah? Like the thing is, we can argue, okay, let's use another quick example. I'm sure everyone here heard about Hathor Bjornsson, yeah, world's strongest like deadlifter at the moment for 501 kilos. Fun fact is that no one really talks about his body weight when he was pulling it, which was 250 kilos. So in reality, roughly around that. So in reality, he only pulled 2 times his body weight, yeah? We know that's strength numbers, that's not that great. It's just 2 times your body weight, whatever, right? But you don't understand the amount of force you have to produce to pull 501 kilos. Why are there so many guys around, that do weigh quite a fair bit, find it hard to, like, pull at that point? Because it's a fuck ton of weight. Just because you weigh heavier, yeah, relative to, your body weight, yada, yada, whatever. It's still a fuck ton of weight. Tough for 1,000 kilos, yeah? I don't know if I can even fucking lift that in my entire lifetime. If I really, put my all into it and maybe if I jumped on even more gear, that's not just testosterone. It's a lot. And fun fact is that during that time can anyone take a guess how long in between his sessions were to deadlift? So for me, I deadlift heavy at the moment once a week. Yeah? Because I'm not going extremely, heavy at this point in time. I'd say the heaviest I ever go is 1 week at maybe I'd say 90% or something. But the volume makes me PB. But can anyone take a guess how long in between how many days were in between the sessions of his deadlifts?
I would guess 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, very good. Nice. 14 days. Yeah, of course he did technical stuff. Yeah, but he actually needed 14 days of rest before he can load his body like that again. Yeah, because it was so much fucking weight. Okay? So that's a good example of understanding that load is equivalent to volume as well. Okay? So, and you guys will need to know this when we talk about deloading. All right? So, program design. I'm going to ask this one more time. And you guys should, fucking know this by now, on the dot, word for word. What is the definition of periodization, which is the one thing we really, really got to fucking hone in on for programming? If you know how to periodize, you know how to plan, you know how to program, okay? So what's the definition of periodization?
Periodization.
Go for it.
Is the manipulation and logical sequencing of training variables broken into phases or periods to maximize adaptations for a specific time or a specific performance.
So close. You got all the words and just jumbled a little bit. So close.
Okay.
Yeah. Maria, you want to take a crack at it? You were next.
The manipulation of variables in a logical sequences over a period of time toward a specific goal.
Cool, fantastic. Yeah, doing it. You just jumbled it a little bit, okay? Cool, fantastic, great. That's a great sentence, yeah? That was actually popularized by Dr. Mike Izerito. Okay? So cool, great. However, if we break it down, these are just words, yeah? What does it mean? What are some training variables we can manipulate?
Sets.
Yeah, cool, sets.
Time, tempo. Rest time.
Rest. What else?
Range of motion? No.
Yeah. That you know what? I'd say that falls under exercise selection. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, load.
Yep, cool, great.
The effort, or I would say the
Yep. Yeah.
By the wrist that someone gets.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Great. So, Maria, that's really funny that you actually said the effort, yeah? Because we're going to talk about that as well. So, these are training variables we can manipulate. Now, when we talk about load, yeah, there's a couple of ways that we can actually measure load. There's 3 ways, yeah? So, Maria just talked about effort, okay? Or more commonly known as RPE. Yeah? So, fun fact about RPE, it was actually, let me check the doctor's name again. So, RPE was, who was it? Who was the doctor that came up with it? It was Dr. Gunnar Borg, yeah? He actually came out with RPE as a measurement for effort. However, this, in 1970, however, this was more introduced for cardiovascular training before it was popularized, who was it? By Mike Teixeira for strength. Okay? Now, the pros and cons of RPE is that RPE it can be a little bit hard to judge if you don't have the experience. Because we got some lifters out there who's like no pain, no gain, like, you know, Ronnie Coleman, and who always overestimates themselves. Yeah? And they'll go above and beyond. But guess what? That's not good. Because if they do that in a high intensive state, they're gonna either fuck themselves up or they're gonna reach a plateau block very, very, very quickly. Yeah. Training morale will also drop. There's a whole bunch of things that goes bad with overestimating yourself. Don't get me wrong, sometimes when you lift a really heavy weight, when on the day where it fucking matters, you need a bit of ego and you need a bit of confidence to lift that weight, you know? Like walking up to, like half of Beyonce, walking up to 501 kilos for deadlift. If he didn't have the fucking ego, yeah, if he didn't have the ego to back himself, if he didn't have the confidence to back himself, the weight wasn't going to go up, especially in front of like a world full of people and judges right in front of your face, you know, going for a world record. That shit is like daunting, yeah? When you're on stage, when you're powerlifting, like I go deaf from nerves. But if you don't fucking talk yourself up, you don't play the music that you want, like in your headphones before you go, like you'll miss it, yeah, because your mind does get the better of you. Okay, so RPE, one bad thing, hard to judge if you're inexperienced, and also in comparison to what, yeah. What's an RPE of so people use like 1 to 10, you know, like that's the scale that they use. But how do you make that relevant between, let's say, I don't know, a bicep curl versus a front squat paused? Yeah, you can't make that relevant. And you can't really measure that. You know, even a quad extension compared to let's say a high bar, 1 1/4 squat. Yeah, you can't really measure that. So in comparison, it can be really hard to judge as well. Now, the good thing about it is that it is quite flexible. It does allow, you know, the athlete to have variation in the weights depending on how they are on the day. Yeah, or as a coach, in the art of coaching, for you to decide, yeah, they're really stressed today. Probably shouldn't push them that hard. Yeah? Or me, like Karl would be training me and sees the fact that, Tats hasn't slept in like probably over 6 days now. You know, with 4 hours of broken sleep per night. Bit on edge, you know, like anything's setting him off and he's about to have a mental breakdown. Maybe I shouldn't push him to lift heavy weights, you know? So you can actually change the weight of it on the day. Or if someone's like getting, like they're fucking great, like George, like a couple of weeks ago, it's fucking great, nailing everything. It was on the deload week, you know? We had 2 sets, only 2 sets, so volume's quite low. Yeah, also total volume's quite low, but he was nailing every single fucking lift. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It looks great. Let's go up another 10. Let's go up another 10. Yeah? Fucking PB'd, 170 for 5, even on like a deficit on body weight, you know, he's dropped weight as well. Great. Yeah? There's some days where you can just fucking win. And you as a coach can call that, you know? So these are RPE. So what this is a third way of actually like gauging, like giving load, is that the coach Mike Teixeira actually then invented RIR, which is reps in reserve, to go and complement RPE and make it more relevant to strength training, yeah, or even hypertrophy training, if you will. Okay, because what it means, he gave a scale 1 to 10. 1 meaning little to no effort. You probably have 10 plus reps left. Yeah, and this is what like Karl has now put into program templates as well for you guys to put in too. Okay, and so 1 little to no effort, probably have 10 plus reps. You know, if a client is telling you, "Oh, that was hard," and you're like, "Okay, scale 1 to 10, how many reps do you think you have left?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe 8." Okay, well, that wasn't fucking hard. You're being a joke. All right. Or some people will say, "Oh, like," and you can even see it, like 10. 10 is maximal effort. It means to have no fucking reps left. Like it is breaking down. It's got mechanical like breakdown and technique. You know, it's not great anymore. Cool, like stop. Yeah. 9 would be, let's say you have like literally 1 rep left if you willed it like hard enough. You know. 8, it's like you got maybe 2 comfortably. Yeah. So that's what RI is. And it complements RPE really well. So if you're going to give RPE as a load in program, yeah, understand that you have to be quite experienced in it. Your client should be quite experienced, like they should know the body a little bit, or you should explain to them, and you always should give IR in the program as well. Yeah. So quick example, actually I'll go through the last one, which is percentage of 1 RM. Yeah. So with percentage of 1 RM, the downside of using this, a big downside, is that a lot of coaches will calculate with the clients or the athletes 1 rep max, the absolute max, that is at 11 on the scale of effort, yeah? And they'll use that to calculate and enter the loads in. And guess what? Just because you did it once doesn't mean your body adapted to it, yeah? Maybe you did it in comp. It was fucking hard, yeah? But you want to program that in. So let's look at it. I give someone 5x5, okay? If it's, so I give someone 5x5, the 1 rep max, okay? I'm going to quickly load up the 1 rep max count. So 1 rep max, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Cool. 1 rep max. Okay. Hello. So let's say the 1 rep max on a low bar squat is 100 kilos. Okay. So what a lot of coaches do at that point is they find, oh, cool. They use this calculator, and then they go, oh, cool. So 4 reps, they can do 90. 6 reps, they can do 85. So I'm going to go in between and give them 80 kilos. I'm going to give them that 5x5 because they should be able to do that for 5 reps. And a lot of people will forget about the fact that it's 5 sets, and they'll give it on the first week. I want you to do 5x5 of your absolute max. And that's how a lot of people fuck themselves up really fucking badly, because you're already pushing that client way past their PB because they don't factor in total volume load. Okay? So they're not like they're lifting 25 times 80. They're lifting 2,000 kilos, while in reality they could only probably lift it, 100 once. Like you have to factor that in. Yeah, it's a fucking lot. So what I tend to do instead, and this is a big tangent on programming, if I was to give a client percentages, okay, I would usually start off, okay, I'll ask you guys, what do you think is a reasonable percentage I should give my clients on their first week of 5x5? So this is a chart here. What do you guys think is reasonable?
65.
Okay.
I would say like 50.
50. Wow. Yeah, wow, you guys are conservative.
Drop it by 20.
Sorry? What was that? Ed, what was that? Okay. I've lost Ed. Never mind. Unless I'm frozen. Cool.
I would
So,
say like 50 because of the fact that 5x5 likes to progress really fast. But yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing with 50%. That's very conservative. So if we did 5x5, understand that like theoretically you're going for 50 kilos. You're gonna have like 30. Okay, let's say 20 reps in reserve each session. Yeah, how would you progress that then on the next week? So a phase usually 4 weeks. How would you progress it next?
What was the question?
So so one phase of 5x5 has 4 weeks, right? On the first week, you have given the client 50%, yeah, but you have to progress them week by week by load, and we know the percentage of it, yeah. So if you gave them 50% on the first week, what would you progress them to the second week then?
60.
Okay, what about the third?
70.
70. Okay, cool. The problem here, though, right? Is that you've gone very conservative. Don't get me wrong. Being that conservative, like you're not.
Because like I was calculating that based on the fact that like the 5x5 program I know is like they squat 3 times a week, so then they would progress like from 50 to 60 within 4 sessions.
Yeah, so needed to get onto that as well. So no, when I give them 5x5, like strength programs I give usually have 1 squat day a week. Yeah. So because my 5x5, what I do is I use it as a motor learning program. Yeah. And the thing with motor learning, and even with like, clients have been training for a long time by themselves, have a lot of bad habits. So with motor learning, I like to give low volume with moderate load. Yeah. So they can get used to having axle loading, and they can get used to the load and stabilization as well. Yeah. So low volume and moderate with higher sets. Yeah. So they get to practice the movement with sufficient rest in between. Yeah? So I probably should have given a bit of context in that. The guys know how I program, so they would know a bit better. So if that was the case, James, if it's just once a week, what do you think is a logical percentage to give them?
I would say maybe 70.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Yeah, 70 to 75. I usually, I'd give 75. 70 is quite conservative as well, but that's great. Yeah, being conservative is not a bad thing. Realize that if you're conservative with a client, like quite conservative, like James is, they will still make progression. Yeah, not as fast, but they will still make progression over time compared to someone who's over aggressive. Yeah, way too high intensity, and the client gets fucked up, and then you don't progress. All right, so that's not a bad thing at all. Yeah, so great, good answer, James. So I usually would like to go around like 70, 75. Yeah, so let's say James's answer. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go 70 first week. Next week 75. The week after 80, and then the week after that 85. Okay, they should still have like a rep or 2 in the tank. Yeah, that's the thing. They should on the last week. And here's the fun fact. Everyone thinks the last week is always the peak week, but I actually like to give it to them on the 3rd week. They do 5x5 here. It's still a fuck bit of weight, yeah, because you have to think about total volume. And then on the last week, I'm giving them a deload, yeah. But see how I kept the intensity even higher? They're still progressing. So understand with deload, it means to minimize fatigue. What do you guys think I'm going to cut down on if it's not the load during deload?
The reps?
Yeah, it could be reps, but yeah, cool, sets, exactly. So you can do reps. Yeah, you definitely can. I prefer doing sets because it keeps the program consistent, and at the end of the day, when we talk about volume, remember the key thing was that sets is the thing that we want to talk about. Yeah, that's what we actually account in for volume. Yeah. So I would actually cut the sets down to 2. Okay. Last week deload, we're gonna go for 85% on 2 sets. Why 2? Why not 3? Everyone take it down. Why 2
2's a
sets?
nice number that they can concentrate on, maybe?
Sorry?
Like 2's a nice number for someone to train with.
Yeah, it is a nice number.
Because you can do like, one set would be like, I'm super concentrated. And you're like, I only have 1 more set. I can just pop it out. with good form and stuff as well.
Yeah, good. So what James touched on was just training morale. Yeah, training morale, fucking great. Yeah. Number 2 sets. I'm being conservative. That's the key to it. You know, this is great things that like Bass has taught me and Karl has taught me over the years, and with being conservative and. Like it's a good thing because guess what? If we got 2 sets, I was being conservative. Like George the other week, cool. He kept going up and up and up in percentage. Yeah, because everything was just on point. He felt great. Training morale was high, and that's the thing with training morale too. Why we do percentages like this? Okay, because if I put the client on 95, or well, it would have been like around 87.5%. If we're talking about like maybe 8 kilos. Yeah, it's going to be heavy. They're going to feel like shit because I'm already grinding out. I've got 4 more weeks of this. Next week we're going up. The client's not going to feel too good, you know? But if I start them off a little bit more conservative, maybe like 70-75%, and we slowly build on that, each week they'll be like, yeah, this is easy. Great, I'm nailing it. 3rd week comes in, you know what? I fucking got this. I built up to it. I fucking got this. Let's do it. Then nail it. Cool. Week 4. All right. What they think instead of a deload is they think, oh, cool, I'm going to fucking PB. You know, I even got heavier. Great. And they get even more excited to lift that weight, which actually does help minimize the risk of them failing, which does help minimize risk of injury in a certain extent on a lot of examples, not for all. There's some people are dickheads. But then guess what? Goes back to the next program phase. I'm going to drop the percentage down again, and we're going to start again. Yeah, they feel great. They lifted heavy, and now they're like, oh, cool, I got a little bit of a break. Let's do that again. Yeah. Can anyone tell me what's that method of periodization called? What I just gave as an example. Five by 5, 4 weeks, increasing percentage each week, or increasing intensity.
Linear?
Intensification?
So linear, traditional linear periodization. Great, Maria, nice. Because see how it goes up in a linear fashion? Yeah, great. So linear progression, okay? Cool, very nice. You guys are catching on quite quick, awesome. So that's the thing with loads, okay, that we've quickly gone into, okay? So that's training, so big explanation of training variables, all right? Now, the next part of that sentence, periodization means the manipulation of training variables in a logical sequencing, yeah? Now we're going to start talking about, like, phases and plans more. What do you guys think when I say logical sequencing? Oh, you guys should know this.
They have to like match with each other. Like you can't go from
What has to match?
like one phase with the other one. Like you can just change everything from one phase to another phase.
Great. Modality compatibility. Each phase is a logical sequencing one to the next. So Dunya, I'm gonna ask you because I gave you a very nice example the other week. Okay. Let's say I got a beginner client. Yeah. I'm gonna teach them motor learning. Okay. Which I'm gonna use a 5x5 sorry, my dog. 5x5 method. Okay. Cool. Great. Motor learning done. What would be a compatible phase that connects onto this phase?
The motor learning? With the motor learning? You mean?
So remember what we talked about? No, because we need to progress the client, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, they've got 12 weeks with us, you know? That's usually how long we sign them for. Now, if motor learning, okay, was what we started with for 4 weeks, what do you think the next 4 weeks should be? What's the next phase?
Strength.
We talked about this.
I thought it was that one. Let me. Where I have it in my notes. Hypertrophy. Yeah,
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, so hypertrophy, all right? Cool.
Grow the muscle first.
You need to reread the booklet, please, or my notes. Yeah. Hypertrophy goes in next, okay? Why is that? Why not strength? Okay, let's give the example, okay? Motor learning straight into strength. 1, what qualifies a strength phase? What's the variables we're looking for when we enter strength? What's the rep scheme?
It goes up. We get the intensity goes up.
Yeah,
and the
intensity.
volume goes down.
Yeah, intensity goes up whilst volume does go down. If we started someone on 5x5, which I strongly recommend as someone's starting point for motor learning, okay? Just, you know, and I'll talk about body split in a bit, James. So if we go for 5x5, okay? If we need to go into strength, what we usually understand is that volume needs to drop so intensity can go up even higher. Correct?
Yeah.
In the usual like context of it. Okay, especially if we're doing a linear progression. Yeah. We won't touch on undulating today. We're gonna leave that for another day. It's gonna be a lot of information otherwise. So if intensity has to go up and volume has to drop again, do you think that's really gonna benefit the client who just learned these skills?
No.
Yeah, no. Like you dropped from 5 to 3, like fuck, okay, whatever. The beginner, they can handle more than that. They need more. They need to adapt, yeah, and they need to switch on those like motor units to fire more within the muscle as well. 3 reps is not going to stimulate that. Only or 4 reps, you know. Now intensity goes up again. The client, and remember, with 5x5, it is a moderate load, yeah. With the client, if you give them over moderate, okay, so maybe close to over submaximal, which is past 70%, do you think a beginner is going to handle that very well? This is like the, or someone who's new that started with you, who's been training by themselves for 10 years, has a really shit form, you know, do you think it's going to benefit them to go even higher on load?
No.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's not great. So strength isn't, it's not the best, yeah? So what we can do instead though, all right, is hypertrophy, as we mentioned. Why? Well, 1, volume goes up, intensity drops a little bit again. Yeah, usually. So with the volume going up, it has the benefits of work capacity increase, which has skill acquisition in it as well because they're repeating it more and more. Yeah, then the like the and remember, increasing work capacity can actually eventually reduce the fatigue of a client or the capacity of fatigue, because now they can do more. Yeah, a beginner probably finds 5 reps bracing for 5 reps fucking hard. Okay, but now they can do more. 5's easy. All right, now let's go to 8. Yeah, 4x8. I give an example is usually a great like next step up for phases. Yeah, because we do there is more reps into it. Yeah, it's higher rep, higher volume. Yeah, we do drop a set in it as well because now they are doing more reps in it too. Like that's one way to manipulate it, and doing like five sets at 8 for beginners just like it's just rough and the volume's too high of a jump. Yeah, so there's a little bit of maths into this. Yeah, and on top of that, they get to build functional hypertrophy or hypertrophy at the same time. Yeah, they get to work on the weaknesses. And don't forget that with hypertrophy, and you're progressively overloading, it does help carry over to strength as well. Like you're still getting strong if you're lifting more load. Just because it's a hypertrophy program doesn't mean you're necessarily not getting strong. Yeah. So it has a good carryover. And then the next phase, what do you think is, Dunya, I'm going to ask you again, what do you think is finally a good phase to match into your hypertrophy phase?
The strength.
Yeah, great. Strength is great. That's good carryover. Yeah. Because now what we've done is now we're going to increase the intensity and drop the load a little bit. Okay. You can actually go hypertrophy again. That's fine. Yeah. You go like motor learning, and Dunya, you even said motor learning before as well. Motor learning into motor learning. Okay, cool. Like if the client needs more time to learn, yeah, we have some motor morons out there. Yeah, great. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Yeah, you need more time. You're really structurally fucked. You haven't even gone to like, and some people even need to go like past beyond motor learning, where they go to the very most regress exercises, because I'm in pain, they've got injury, or they're just that weak. I've had clients like that, and then I couldn't even load them up on any unilateral work because they were so weak. I had to go bilateral, then unilateral, back to bilateral. So it was like 3 phases of fucking motor learning. It was crazy, yeah. But they needed that. But you can also go motor learning, hypertrophy, yeah. If their goal isn't necessarily strength, if they're more into aesthetics, that's perfectly fine, yeah. But usually the next phase after that, following it, is strength. Yeah, it makes sense. It has a great carryover of hypertrophy. You can continue having hypertrophy into it as well. You can continue to grow muscle whilst getting stronger, and intensity goes up as well. So now you can start to decrease in volume, which helps mitigate fatigue. Yeah, and it's more fun. Well, to me anyway, because you get high intensity. Now, it's not what people have done to fuck it up. Is they go hypertrophy, and then they go into a peak phase. Yeah. What's the problem if I go straight into a peak from a hypertrophy phase?
Peak is designed for like the strength bit to be already done.
Yeah, exactly. What else?
And then you're gonna have I guess your muscles and tendons aren't gonna be used to the weight that the peak phase is gonna have, so you're gonna just fuck yourself.
Yeah, very good. Very good, very good. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's a very good answer. What else is there? There's 2 more factors we need to account for.
The adaptation that you're getting into is different. Like,
explain that.
With the strength and peak, you're gonna use your central nervous system, and you haven't been training that. You were doing hypertrophy.
Yeah, great. Nice answer. Good. Yeah. Didn't even think of that. Great. If ego, and Karl says, if ego is not checked, this is how an athlete would get fucked, though it isn't ideal from hypertrophy to peak. Yeah, great answer as well. Yeah, we got some egomaniacs, they're like, oh, fuck yeah, I can lift this weight. They can't, because of the reasons that Maria and James have given out. Another thing is that it is not enough volume, to actually hold the muscle that we have gone and that we adapted through the hypertrophy phases. It's too little volume. You're gonna fucking lose it because you're not using it. Yeah? It's not gonna happen. Sorry. Yeah. So peaking is just not good. Like, you're not used to the load on your spine. Like, there's not, like, you're not used to, like, you haven't stimulated the central nervous system enough. Yeah. You haven't practiced a lot of fucking things. Like, you suck. Fuck off. Yeah. Do strength phases first. So that's what strength prepares us for. And remember, to peak a client, they don't have to be an athlete. Okay. They don't have to be a competitor. They could be a gen pop. Yeah. Like, you do need to eventually find out the percentages of what they lift in, because in my personal opinion, I'm quite biased. I think percentages is a great way to give out numbers for all of their complex or lifts of complexity. Yeah. Sometimes, I'll throw in a bit of RPE depending on the day, and because they're having a great day or something, or they're having a shit day. That's on you to be flexible as a coach. Yeah. But I think having that little number down gives them a good guidance, because you're not around them all the fucking time. Yeah. And it does give them a goal to hit. Yeah. And it is they do call an educated guess, but it is calculated. Okay. And you've prevented them from going way too high or way too low to not cause an adaptation. Now, the thing to understand with percentage, a really massive drawback is the fact that, if they are going through something, they're not going to be able to lift that load. Yeah. And if they don't know how to adjust it themselves, they'll probably fuck themselves up on the day, or they just won't get the lift, then training morale just goes, and on top of it, if they are going through something very stressful, maybe they just broke up with their partner or something, and then they missed their lift, fuck, that's a shit day. I'd probably break something in the gym if that was me. Yeah. All right. So you have to account into that. So percentage, so going into that, with strength, yeah, that's why I like to pick clients to test them, and you guys will all eventually learn from me in the gym how to and Karl as well, how to test their 5 rep max. I don't recommend it in doing ones. It's not really necessary unless you need to learn how to perform singles for competition. I don't think Gen Pop should really lift ones. Yeah. So yeah, like get them to do a 5 rep max, calculate it from there. It's great. So in programming, what I tend to do is use a mixture of percentage with RPE and RIR. Because fun fact, like it's hard as well, calculating all the carryover from barbell into dumbbell and pressing and all that. It's, but what I tend to do is give them, once I have the numbers, in the complex lifts, I give them goals to hit, like numbers to hit week by week with percentages, and then the rest of it, I'll be like, cool, this is how much reps in reserve you should have for all these. I don't know what your fucking hamstring curl is in correlation to your squat, and quite frankly, you could have, you could have strength imbalances. So I don't know. I don't know if the effort's going to, like the effort you produce is going to be the same as I have in mind for you, okay, which is RPE. Okay? So, sorry. But follow this guide. Yeah, it's usually 2 to 3 reps in reserve. Okay. And quick question: why do you guys think I say 2 to 3 reps in reserve? Even not just for my strength athletes. And remember, I don't really train like prep people. That's more constants than Karl's and I think Eddie's thing. But why do you think I will even say 2 to 3 reps even for aesthetics and people going through a hypertrophy phase?
You don't want to train them till they're like dead.
Yeah.
It's like a mental thing.
Yeah.
Like if they train till like they literally can't move their leg at all, it's kind of like demoralizing.
James, for the purpose of the audio, can you elaborate on dead? Because that's not very specific.
Oh, so like to the point where they're like ridiculously fatigued and they don't have like their like motor units are just shutting off because they just don't or can't activate anymore.
Yeah, so the thing is, I understand your terminology. So what that more we're talking about is like absolute like failure, yeah, absolute fatigue, which is not beneficial because one, it's hard to recover from, which is why it's harder to fire, and number 2 is the fact that you're creating unnecessary muscle damage, which makes it even harder to recover from, which makes you accumulate even more fatigue. Yeah, so by the next session, maybe you haven't even recovered enough yet. Fatigue is still quite high, and now you're training in a fatigue state. Doesn't matter if it's upper body, lower body split, whatever. Yeah, you're now training in a fatigue state, which does hinder your performance. Okay, so what we always say is close to proximal failure. I like to say 2 to 3, and studies have shown, and I need to find a study for this, but studies have shown that if you work 2 to 3 reps in reserve, you actually get better quality sets, yeah, which is more efficient, stimulating repetitions, because it does via all the correct things as well, moving more correctly. So that is, it's a better outcome all in all, and the athlete or the client isn't as fatigued to go into the next session. 2 to 3 also, like, it still counts as close to a proximal failure, and they'll still get great results from it. You can really push it to 1. I know Karl likes to say like go to 1, and that's great too for aesthetics and hypertrophy purposes. But I train more like strength athletes where they do need to prioritize a lot more recovery as well. Okay, so I've touched on a lot of things here, yeah, which is still explaining like the phases of periodization. So we covered manipulation of variables, and from now on, I expect you guys to answer this like right off the bat, like, yeah, and you know what it means when I say this sentence. It's not just fucking complicated words, yeah. So it's manipulation of training variables over logical sequencing, yeah, in to a specific goal, yeah, in a specific period of time. We as Vitruvian Health, we do 12-week packages, okay? It just sounds nice, 3 months, but understand that. Fuck, it's fucking hard to get the big hairy predaceous the goal they want in 12 weeks, yeah, but we can get quite close. This is why goal setting is really important, yeah, before you go into periodization, which is why Karl ran you guys through like the client Bible, like the call last week as well. You guys really need to know how to hone in on that one goal the client really fucking loves and really wants more than anything in the world. They could say 6-pack, but if deep down they're really like, fuck, I just really want to be strong. Okay, then they just really want to be strong. And even if they didn't get the 6-pack, guess what? You're still adhering to their goal, yeah, and they will be happy. Yeah? And even though it takes longer than 12 weeks progress, they'll do it because they see the value that you're providing them, because you're actually doing what they really wanted in the first place. Okay, so these are the manipulation of things like over a 12-week time. Yeah. Thanks, Karl. Amazing. Yeah, great example of how he actually programs in hypertrophy, how he likes to use RP and IR instead. Remember, when I do give examples of what I do, I train strength athletes. Yeah, it's two different beasts. Okay, so going into this, let's talk quickly about training body split days. Yeah, so when I say body split, one is sexy and the other one is stronger and sexy. Yeah, you know what? Really funny. I saw this fucking like dickhead on Instagram, and he's like saying like, "Oh, I miss it when I was shredded," and his caption was "aesthetics over strength," and I was like, "You sure?" When I saw you with your fucking high vis fucking t-shirt on, I didn't even think you had muscle. So great, you got a fucking 10-pack, whatever. Yeah. I could do that if I wanted. I just don't. But cool. So let's talk about body splits. Okay. So with body splits, what do you guys think when I say that? When it comes to programming, yeah, you can fire anything off.
Like split between upper and lower body.
Yeah, cool. That's one way. What else is there?
I've heard of
Split
push pull.
between
Yeah, push pull. Yeah, and Jordan.
split between muscle groups.
Yeah, cool. So more like, can you give an example on that?
Like chest and arms, or quads and hamstrings, or glutes and back, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. What else?
Also, the lits itself.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All great. These are called training body day splits. What I like to do personally for strength programming, and this was something that was also popularized by Bass himself. I know James has more experience in weightlifting, and also, you know, of course, strength as well. Like it requires strength, but he talked about like a 3-day like squat split, you know, and there's probably like a lot to go into that. And he was probably using an undulating method, which we will talk about. Was that right, James? Did you go through undulating?
What do you mean by undulating? Haven't
So-
heard that before.
When you was so undulating is a way of it's a way of periodization where you manipulate variables in a wave-like fashion over maybe week, month, or yearly,
Haven't really done that before. I've only done
or daily. Okay,
Like
so
the closest I got to like your mentioning of hypertrophy split into strength split into like a peak phase is I did the Candida Advanced Squat program.
Okay.
And
But-
that was just
I just want to ask you real quick: when you're squatting 3 times a week, were you doing like same intensity and same reps and same?
Oh no, like right now I'm doing, for example, Monday is my 5x5 day.
Yeah.
Then Wednesday would be it's usually a 2x5. Oh no, it's a 5x5 with lower weight, sorry.
Yeah, cool. So
And then
that is
Friday is a 2x5. Oh no, 1x5, like 5 rep, not 5 rep max testing, but testing of my 5 rep has gone up in terms of like RPE strength, weight versus RPE wise.
cool. So that's great. That's actually a method of undulating. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that next week because we're running short on time. I want at least 15 minutes for like Eddie's program. Yeah, and there's always so much to cover. Jordan, I apologize. I know this is a big refresher for you, but I guess it's always good to listen. So when we're talking about body split, how I personally like to do it, and I'm going to pull up one of my programs. Yep. Okay, let's have a quick look. So how I like to program is a 4-day split. Yeah, I just find out it works. You can do 5, that's fine. Especially when you're far away from comp times. Personally, I find that for me, I just have better recovery when I train 4 days. Maybe it's just me being lazy, you know. But I personally found that I started getting niggles and I was so exhausted if I did 5 days. So, you know what? I ended up doing longer sessions for like 3 hours, and I found that I had more recovery that way. Cool. And I'm finding that I need to like rest in different days now. I can't squat and then bench light anymore. It's too much for me. So now I start to squat, I rest, and then bench light, very light bench, you know, light bench, and then I go to deadlifts, and then I rest, and then I go heavy deadlifts. I mean, heavy bench. Yeah. I find that actually works a little bit better for me these days because I get sufficient rest in between because my bench is finally having some respectable numbers, you know. Wasn't great before, but anyway. So how I split it is day 1 I'll squat. Day 2 is a light bench or light press. Okay, it could even be like overhead press. So let's change this. Let's change this. Let's say it's a light press day. Can be vertical, can be horizontal. I usually have both in the same day. And then I have deadlift day, and then I have a bench day, heavy press day, and that's how I split it up. Okay, why do you guys think I split it up like this? So day 1 I only squat. Day 2 I have vertical and horizontal press and rows. Day 3 I deadlift, and then day 4 I horizontal and vertical press and row again. Why do I do 2 days, you know, press? Why do I do only 1 day of squat and deadlift? Like, what's going on here?
Because you can recover a bit more from the upper body day.
Yeah, why can I recover more from upper body?
It's not as, how to say, the muscle groups are not as taxing compared to the leg day.
Yeah, but why? Why am I not as fatigued from bench?
Less muscles used.
Yeah, not really. Still a lot of muscles being involved. What was that?
Less load.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Remember, load is volume, guys. Yeah. Load brings on fatigue. So yeah, I'm using much less load. You know, like I can squat up. I don't know what my max is. Okay, 100. Okay, can do 145. I'm being a bit conservative. I'm actually going for 150 on my deload week. Yeah. For 8. On tempo, woo. So on my bench, like fucking 75, 82.5 compared to 150. Yeah, nowhere near as close. Yeah, so the load is a lot more lower, so I can actually recover faster. Okay, that's why I can bench twice. Okay, but remember, it also is. It's not 2 heavy days. One's more of a light press day. Yeah, but why would I only go for 1 squat and also 1 deadlift?
I would say like because squat and deadlift are somewhat interlinked with each other.
Yeah, not a bad observation. Yeah, okay. So the big hint for you guys here is structural balance. Yeah, and to achieve structural balance, we need 50 and 50 of everything. So remember, 360 degrees all needs to be working in conjunction to each other, which means we need 50 and 50 of everything. Okay, So can anyone take a guess why I do 1 squat or 1 dead?
For structural balance.
Yes.
1 hamstrings, 1 quad. Like front and back of body, I guess.
Yeah, you can say that. Anterior and posterior. Yeah, definitely. Okay, but remember, glutes are also used in a squat as well. They're just, yeah, it is. Okay, and also quadriceps are also used in a deadlift. But you guys are very close. So what I'm doing now is thinking on the structural balance and also the functional movements is 50%. Sorry.
1 push, 1 pull.
Kind of. Deadlifts are much more of a push exercise. I don't like to just say it's a pull exercise. You pull with your upper back, yeah, and you stay static, and then you push with your legs. Yes, Eddie.
Knee flexion and hip extension.
Fuck yeah, gold star, big tick. That's great. That's great, Eddie. Oh my God, that's great. Yeah, so half and half, 50-50, knee flexion, yeah. What makes up the other half? Hip extension. That's how I program it. All right? So that's boom, lower body, done. Okay? And yeah, it should have more hamstring stuff in there. We've got snatch, grip, remaining deadlift. Yeah, I need to add that more in. Whoops. Anyway, cool. So then we look at press days. Okay, 50-50 as well. Yeah, I go 50% vertical, 50% horizontal. Yeah, I've got 50% push, 50% pull. I got 50-ish. I got 50% internal rotation, and I also have 50% external rotation. This right here, remember, correlation to effort, yeah? This is in correlation to effort. This is a fuckload already. Yeah, this is equivalent of 50% towards all this. And I also have all these warm-ups. Don't forget that all caters into external rotation as well. And muscles that help stabilize the scapula. Okay? So that's how I like to program. It is very simple. I still use traditional linear progression. Yeah, we'll talk more about other methods in the next couple of phases. But this is something you can do and I found that you can do for a really long time, even for like more intermediate lifters as well. I have yet to come across a very advanced one. Yeah. Some things will change when it comes to advanced. We'll talk more about that next week with advanced. But a lot of you guys won't be training advanced lifters just yet. I don't know about you, James, but a lot of us won't. Yeah. So this is something you can use as a template for strength. Yeah, and then you can have a day 5 for accessories. Yeah, beginners can recover more, you know? Yeah. Does this kind of like help you guys understand a bit more like splits for when it comes to strength? I know this is just one example that I use that I personally like use all the time. Yeah, but it works, you know? It's 50-50 of everything. And it does adhere to structure, the foundation. So remember, we always have to adhere to structural balance when programming. Yeah. 50-50 of everything, always making sure that every single muscle, every like 360 degrees, like all degrees are covered. And that's one thing we need to talk about quickly as well when we talk about that. So Dunya asked me a very good question the other day about variations and exercise selection. And Eddie also asked me, how do you periodize equipment? That was his question. How do you periodize equipment? And Dunya asked how do you choose like variation of exercises? Here's a fun fact. If you don't plan to periodize and program like equipment, like progress in equipment, think of the movement of the body, think of the exercise itself. Okay? Because this is just my personal take, and don't take what I say to gospel. This is just my preferred way. I don't like to use like too much machines. Yeah? I don't really like to use too much machine. Like, yeah, look, I do use like hamstring curls because it locks one of your joints in position so you can do knee flexion. Yeah, that's great because I actually do need to do that. Like, I need that. Yeah, I need a machine to help with that. I can't do Nordics just yet. I'm too weak to do that. Yeah. So even for beginners, I tend to stay away from machines because one, not as much axle loading, and number two, I don't find it doesn't really stimulate the motor units to fire properly because you're missing that stabilization point. Don't get me wrong, machines are fucking great, yeah? They're fucking great for hypertrophy, and they're fucking great when you want to teach a beginner how to lift as well so they can gain strength fast too and muscle fast as well. They're great. I just personally don't prefer to use them. So when Eddie asks, like, how do you, like, plan this out? Like, do you periodize machines and free weights and all that? I was like, no, I just think of the exercise and I go from there. And that relates to Dunya's exercise selection. How do you know which one to pick? How do you regress? How do you progress? What do you do? Well, for the purpose of us talking, okay, let's more talk about Gen Pop because you guys are going to come across a lot of people who are structurally fucked. Yeah. And Carl's right, program the movement. Yeah, great, thank you. Yeah. Program, like, think of the movement, then think of the exercise, okay? So because you guys are all going to work with like people who are structurally compromised, they probably won't like, and a lot of corporates, especially where we're located, they can't squat, okay? They can't achieve a full depth squat. Okay, that's fine. So what are the things we can do? Okay, maybe limit that range. They could do box squats, yeah? They could do heel elevated squats, okay? Yeah, Manny, you gotta come to Hyde sometime. Show us how you squat. I'll come down to Sutherland. I'll look. So you have to think, And how to best. So you got a client like that, yeah? They can't squat depth, like they got one knee caving in, yada yada, the whole deal. So how do I periodize from that? And Karl taught me something a long time ago, which is really, really useful. Think of the exercise you want them to do in the future. And for everyone, it should be all the basics: squat, bench, dead, like row, pull-ups, all that. They should be doing all of that. And if they can't do that, well, that's the end goal. Yeah? I don't care if it's hypertrophy. Okay? I don't care if it's strength. I don't care if it's for well-being. I don't care if it's any of those goals. You should be able to do this, and you do need all of these exercises in order to adhere to your goal. Okay? But, well, maybe you don't need, but it'll be super helpful. So I would think, cool, I really want them eventually be able to do a low bar back squat, utilize its most load, and they also need to be able to do a high bar back squat, which makes up the range that the low bar back squat misses with full knee flexion. Okay? That's what I'm going to build them to. So now comes into exercise selection. Phase 1, okay? Maybe box squats. I'm going to have accessories and radials to help them achieve that range, but they do need to build on their glutes, they need to build on their glutes so they don't have knee cave. They need to work on, the calf muscles attaching to the Achilles tendon so they have more dorsiflexion, okay? So I'm programming that in the motor learning phase. The next phase, okay, next variation, okay, of exercise, cool, they can achieve more depth now. Let's go for goblet squats with like one mat heel elevation so they can achieve that. They can get used to that range. Okay, continue to work on the glutes and calves, whatever. Okay, next phase, cool. They've cleared, they can squat to their depth. Yeah, they're not and the knee cave's gone because you've been working on the side clams and strengthening the glutes, whatever. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna program high bar back squats. Okay, with a technique bar. Yeah, just to start them off. Okay. And then in the final phase, cool, let's go into low bar back squats, and accessories can be high bar back squat or lunges or whatever you want, okay? As long as it covers up, the range that's missing of knee flexion with the low bar squat, okay? So that's see how I've now chosen different variations and progressed it, yeah? So that's exercise selection, okay? And remember, there's no such thing as a bad exercise. It's just the wrong exercise for the wrong client at the wrong time. Now, let's talk about accessories. Yeah, I get a lot of people asking me, or you guys as well, should I give them, how do I know what accessories to give them? Should I give them, so let's say I'm doing a low bar back squat, this phase with tempo to control the movement more, 2 second negative. I know, so much tempo, whatever. Okay. I'm going to give, and this phase, I've given myself front squats with heel elevation, yeah, because it puts me in a more upright position, and pause at the bottom, and I pause down there for 2 seconds. Why? It works full range of control movement of the knee that I can achieve in flexion, and it gets me to stay really fucking tight, and I don't use it. And George doesn't use a belt. I use a belt because it's more relative to what I need at the moment because of my back. Okay, so that is a variation I've given myself. And people will ask, why not high bar back squat with 1 1/4? 1 1/4. Why not high bar back squat paused? Why not just high bar back squat tempo? Yeah, why not? Okay, why not zerches? Why not lunges? Why not leg press? Why not quad extensions? I'm going to tell you this right now. It doesn't really matter, what variation you give them, because they're going to do it eventually anyway. Yeah, it's just what degree of incline should I give this client? Yeah, I've got bench press on here one day. What degree of incline should I give that person for the chest press on the next phase? I'll tell you what, it doesn't really matter because you're going to eventually cover it anyway. So don't get too caught up on the fact it's I don't know what, there's so many exercises, I don't know. You're going to do all of them. You are going to do all of them eventually, okay, in the phase. But things to remember is that, one, when choosing exercise selection, it needs to have specificity towards the goal. Okay? Number 2 is think about the complexity of the movement as well. Yeah? First lift or first exercise should always be the highest complexity. Okay? The most difficult one. And then after that, it should be a little bit lower in complexity, yeah? And then number 3, okay, is to help with whatever it does adhere to fixing structural balance. Okay, so working on the weakness, or 50-50 of everything, so vertical or horizontal. Okay, push to pull. And then number 5, okay, so the very last one is also, okay, it doesn't cause them pain. Yeah, so we got specificity. Okay, we've also got what was it? What was the next one? So we've also got I'm having a brain fart moment. It's been like almost 2 hours of me talking. Yeah.
Complexity?
Thank you. So complexity, yes, thank you. Yeah. And then we also have structural balance, adherence to structural balance, pain, and also no pain, doesn't cause them pain. And number 5, it needs to make up for the range that is lacking in the first exercise. Because with some movements such as low bar back squat, such as maybe comp grip bench press, or any form of bench pressing, you are still missing the last bit of range of the joint, so the movement of the joint. You need to cover that, like the really last bits of it. This is why I love giving dumbbells after a bench press, because 1, you can change the grips around, and number 2, so you're working the variation, and number 2, you can actually go more into range than a bar would. Yeah, definitely helps with structural balance. So these are the things you need to think about. Like, for example, another example, I have a conventional deadlift at the moment. Let's say conventional deadlift was my main exercise. It wasn't a technique one. It was my main exercise. And then maybe as an accessory, I'll also give myself pause deficit deadlifts. Yeah. But it'll be low and load. So yes, maybe it's like complexity is almost the same. Okay. It is a little bit harder because I have to pause at the shin, but at the same time, the load has decreased significantly. So it's not as hard. Yeah. But what this does is maybe it needs to correct a movement in me. For example, maybe I don't know how to pull the slack of that bar properly. Maybe I relax the moment I initiate the pull. Maybe I jolt the bar up. Maybe I jerk it up. This is going to fix that. So I do put it in. Just like, for example, I have given someone, I've even given someone a front squat before because they're not really good at staying tight at the bottom. Yeah. So I make them pause, I give them a front squat, and it also forces them to be in a more upright position and even better engage their abdominal. Yeah. So these are also like things that can correct whatever is not going right with your main exercise. Yeah. So 5 things to think about when you go into variations of exercises and what you choose, but don't get too caught up on it. Yeah. Because they're going to do it all eventually anyway. Okay. Cool. That was a lot of information I've just covered. There's always going to be more. We didn't even touch on MEV and MRV today. I'll leave that. I'll make a note. So next session we'll talk about undulating, peaking for clients with different goals. And we'll also talk about MEV and MRV, things that we didn't get to cover today. I'm going to use the last 10 minutes, okay, to give a case study of Eddie's program, okay? So, cool. So remember, guys, from now on, we will have that program checklist that Karl sent out to you all. So please fill that before you email me and CC Karl into it, or email Karl and CC me into it. So we know, like, you know, the goal, the phase, like whatever, the reason, the justification you've given, like, to give this program out. Remember, if you can't justify it, if you don't have a reason, it's a fucking shit program, and no one should pay you for that. Okay. So, Eddie, please review program. Okay, ignore the fact that it's late. We're going to work on that, Eddie. I know we will. So he says that in the program similar to the left. Okay, it's just one progression, and the focus on program. I want to place more control in movement when she performs it. Change it to bird dogs or dead bugs, as well as the work spinal stabilizers. Could be one of the reasons why she has discomfort, which is the knee, okay, on the right side, and it got better with previous extension, knee extensions, but still slightly persists, and she runs as well, great, and she's going to continue running even though it causes her pain, great, that's fantastic. All right, cool. So there's already a couple of red flags here. So Eddie has given me kind of a generalized idea of why he's programmed it like this. Okay, and I've given him a lot of pointers to think about. So 1, what's the focus? Yeah, what's the next phase? What's the progression? Okay. What is your method of periodization? You haven't even told me that. Have you thought about it? So number 3, what do you hope to achieve out of this program? What's the end goal? Every single program, every single phase, at the end of 4 weeks, you should have a goal for them. Yeah? It's small goals to lead into that big goal. Number 4, if the exercise, like he's and you guys will understand this. So he kept a lot of exercise selection the same. Okay, he hasn't really given me like a definitive of why she's getting knee pain. Maybe he can't assess it. You know, we are in COVID lockdown at the moment. Yeah. But he can do a structural balance assessment to see like what may be causing, what may be underperforming. And number six, like these are both variation that can help with sinus stabilization. However, dead bugs are prone and doesn't have much anti-rotation. So why have you done this? So why have you chosen this exercise selection? These are the questions I'm going to give you guys when you guys send me stuff. But if you fill out a form, you know, I already should have all this information. But these are things to consider. Now, this is Eddie's program. His previous one, 2.0, okay? Tell me if you guys need me to slow down. So you can see here, so A1 is like tricep lunge, disgusting, gross, it's a drop set.
Tats, are you sharing the screen? Like, where are you guys like seeing?
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I thought I was sharing, whoops.
Well, like, where?
There we go, I clicked on it, didn't happen. So let's have a look. Tell me if I need to slow down for you guys. So this is the warm-up, VH6, hop and hold, side hop and hold, say coverage. So he's got the VH6 on it. If you guys don't know it, just click on the link that it's in your exercise archive. Then he's got core and then he's got calf raises. Okay. Is it just normal standing calf raises, Ed? Or elevated?
Yes. No.
Okay. Why have you given the runner just normal standing calf raises? Does she have can she squat depth?
At the moment, not quite as.
Okay, so that's something for you to consider. You're giving someone calf raises, which can help with ankle mobility and dorsiflexion, but you're giving them just flat ground. Yeah. Remember, with the shock and impact of running, Jordan can testify to this as well. It's already making the muscles shorten a lot, which does limit movement of the ankle, which is dorsiflexion and plantarflexion, but limited dorsiflexion is what we're looking at. So if she's a runner as well, I get that you want to stabilize the ankle and also the knee, okay, where the gastroc and soleus attaches, but why wouldn't you give it elevated? Something to think about. Anyway, so continuing up. So we got tricep lunge, yeah, exercise, pull curl, lateral lunges, single leg. And Ed, you can just message me about why. That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Full hover hold, side hover holds, knee extensions, single calf leg calf raises. Cool. We're just gonna look at lower one, okay, instead of the whole thing. Which one's the one? Oh, okay, that's the one. Bird dog. Cool. So the second program, we'll quickly look at second as well. So single arm shoulder press, single arm banded row, archer push-ups, T raises, bicep curl, shoulder extension, modify. Watch your spelling. So, shoulder extension, modify big three, bird dogs. Cool. Okay. Now let's look into the next one. Same warm up again. Yeah. Still can't squat to depth. Pretty much the same exercises. Lateral lunges, hip extensions, exercise pull hold, side hover, no extension. So nothing changed with exercise selection and lower. Nothing has changed in. Oh, something's changed. Yeah. Single shoulder press. Yep. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. Whoops. Yeah, nothing's really changed if we have a look at it, except for the last exercise, upper. So exercise selection has stayed the same. Sets and reps. Okay. say the same sets. Reps relatively the same. Okay, never mind. Reps are the same. Tempo is gone from controlled to 4-second eccentrics. Rest the same. So the only training variable is manipulated is tempo, as Eddie has explained here. And this is what I want to see, guys. Like, look, I'm not shitting on Eddie. Okay, the fact that I say it's not a bad program. Okay, it needs work. It needs work. I'm sorry, dude. It definitely needs work. But why I'm saying it's not a shit program is because he could answer every single one of my questions. He didn't just go, you know, because it's a progression. I just slapped him. But if we look at it, he's given thought to it, and he can justify it, you know, in his way. One, focus on is hypertrophy. They don't have equipment, okay? So I'm gonna manipulate the only thing I think they have, which is tempo. Yeah, so he's thought about that. Tempo increases time and tension, which is mechanical tension, which does adhere to hypertrophy. Yeah. And improve the discomfort she feels after training. Cool. So he's given me like reasons why he's done it like this, okay? Which is not wrong. Tempo, like lengthened tempo, does adhere to mechanical tension, which can stimulate hypertrophy when done in a close to proximal failure. Yeah. But now that we talked about programming, yeah, which is a manipulation of variables, okay, which is over in logical sequencing over a period of time to a client's goal, what else do you think Eddie, like give him some help here, what else do you think Eddie could manipulate as variables to progress the client? And these are, Eddie, I hope you write these down. These are great suggestions. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So let's start with Donia first. What's something else that Eddie can manipulate?
Reps.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Increase, decrease?
What was the goal?
Hypertrophy. And also to stop feeling discomfort in the knee.
Okay, maybe. I'm not sure then. Not sure, because if she has pain in her knee, it's not good to increase the reps, right? So I guess
Does she has pain doing any of these exercises?
Mainly when she runs, after the running.
maybe she should stop running for a little while, and then she gets stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, but
Or
Eddie's on top of that, isn't he? Huh? Something to think about with that one. Okay, so the thing is, yes, we can increase repetition, which does increase volume. Yeah, which means that total volume is increased, even though, let's ignore this. Let's say she's just doing body weight. You know, like she's still increased total volume, even if it's just body weight. Okay. So that's something you can manipulate, yes. Cool. One thing I would say though is that if be careful of beginners increasing like tempo and volume at the same time. I'm sure she's very capable. She's a capable lady who decides to train through pain. You know, so obviously she's not a complete beginner. Probably not. No offense. So the thing is, like, just be careful, like, really massive beginners. Like, it might be like a lot of variation to them. But yes, reps is like that is a good manipulation. There's something else I'm looking out for though. But thanks, Dunya. Maria, what would something else be to manipulate? And sorry, guys, we'll just go for 5 more minutes, yeah? I know everyone's got things to do. But yeah, what's an arm variation?
Maybe I will say the same movement, but with a different exercise.
Yeah, okay. So Eddie says he's kept the same because of limitation of equipment. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not on the wrong track of the answer. What else what should he be manipulating? Now, like, yeah, you can choose a different exercise, but what if that's really the exercise? Okay, let's just say what if, yeah? What if these are the exercises with the equipment that she can perform at this point in time? What's another thing we can manipulate?
I will make the same exercise, like, I don't know, adding, make it harder, like 1 1/4 rep, or adding a pause, or not only the tempo in the eccentric, but as well make it, I don't know, changing to the concentric, or...
Okay, thank you. That's a lot. Thanks for the rest. But thank you. Yeah, so there's a variation in the exercise now. He didn't even have to change the exercise. Okay, yeah, changing exercise selection. Yeah, progressing it by adding, by making it more challenging. Okay, by like pauses, like 1/4, yeah, all that can definitely be a variation we can manipulate and consider as a progression of exercise, which is also exercise selection. Yeah, good. Let's go, Jordan.
Yeah, so I'm noticing the first A and B group, the supersets, so you could, in the A1 and B1, you could reduce the rest time.
Yep.
That, but you could even reduce the rest time for everything as well.
So
for the rest of the program too.
Yeah, not bad. Rest is definitely something we can manipulate. Fun fact though about rest. I wrote it here. There was a study. I forgot the doctor, but basically they actually did a study, and maybe like they did a study on 1 to 2 minutes because they thought that was like the basis of rest period for hypertrophy. And I'm going to quickly touch on this. I won't take long. So back in the day, they thought, and it's still like kind of, it holds some weight, but they thought the strength repetition was 1 to 5 reps, hypertrophy was 6 to 12, okay, and the rest was 15 and above was endurance. Now looking into it, now we understand mechanical tension and metabolic stress, yeah, we can understand that, and progressive overload with low volume and high volume can both adhere to hypertrophy and strength, okay? So strength can go from 1 to 6 even, and maybe even above because you're still progressively overloading. And hypertrophy can occur at any point, maybe not 1 so much, but it can occur at any point. I'd say from like 3 all the way to 100, as Karl says. Okay, and endurance is I'd say 15 above. Muscular endurance, which is practicing the skill of that muscle of what it can perform. Okay, and rest was considered 1 to 2 minutes for hypertrophy, but studies actually shown that with increased load as well, as the client gets more and more advanced, 1 to 2 sometimes is not enough, a sufficient rest for the body to recover from the accumulated fatigue, and they'll enter into the next set still fatigued and not able to switch on and recruit as many motor units as well to have stimulated and effective reps. So sometimes they needed a little bit more. How to gauge that? I don't know. Yeah, you can gauge it by looking at them. I don't know the science of it. Everyone's going to tell you a different measurement, but they did show that with performance, that over 60 seconds, it can be beneficial. However, understand that if you do have more rest, unfortunately, it does mean more time in a session. That's the drawback of it. Okay, which is why a lot of clients who want to be really fucking strong but only have an hour to train every day is not going to get that strong. They get strong, but not really, really fucking strong. Yeah.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now that you're talking about the time, I'm just thinking because it's 4 working sets and the reps and then the tempo. How long would that take that session?
Well, you have to times it individually, 4 times, I'd say 10 seconds, 4 times 8, okay? And then times it by the tempo, yeah? And remember, you might talk, you might cue, you might do something, so it might not be 4 seconds each rep. It might be longer, because you have to cue them and touch them and everything or something. So I'd give it leeway, maybe 6 seconds. And then you have to times that. So it's 4 times 8 by times 6, that number, okay? And you have to times 4 by 60 seconds, and then you add all that together, and then you repeat it for everything else. Does that make sense? If you want to calculate the whole session and how much time it'd take, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
I can't tell you because quite frankly, I don't want to work it out right now. But that's what you'd have to add and times to find out the length of that session. Yeah. Is it really going to be an hour? That's something you have to be mindful as well when you're training corporates who literally just have 1 hour. 1 hour 15 max, but that includes them showering and changing in between their lunch break. Yeah. And also warm-ups. You have to consider that too. That's why I said, if you really only have 1 hour, you're not going to get that strong. Sorry. So cool. So Dunya talked about tempo. Was it tempo rest? Yeah, one of them. Maria talked about exercise like advancement and progressions, which is exercise selection. Okay. Jordan talks about rest period, and James, what's another thing they can manipulate?
I was gonna say you can add pauses into the movement. Change the mechanics of the movement so that.
Yeah, so Maria talked about that just then. So in pauses or 1 1/4, things like that, it is a progression of the movement, which does adhere to exercise selection. Is there one more thing that they could change?
Can't think of one right now.
So that's okay. One thing that you guys didn't change was the range. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Range is also a part of exercise selection. Yeah, because it does change like the mechanics of it. You can even change. The angle of it for mechanical advantage or mechanical disadvantage. These are ways to also you can progress or regress in exercise. Yeah. So for Eddie, like she's doing a tricep lunge. Why not elevate it? Make it do more range. You know, the knee has more flexion than that. Yeah? It might even help her like increase dorsiflexion. I don't know. Yeah, for his standing calf raises, why don't she go for elevated calf raises? Yeah, get more dorsiflexion, get that nice squat. Yeah. Makes sense. Lateral lunges can increase the range too. Single leg hip extension, like is she doing from floor? Is she doing it back against the bed? You know, that also changes the angle and the movement. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
No worries, Eddie. Yeah, things to think about. So don't just, you can do tempo, sure. It's a very small change. And yeah, she's going to make some adaptation. Is it enough? Would you be personally satisfied with that? Yeah, but no, the question is, Eddie, would you be satisfied? I'm not calling you out here, man. I'm just saying, like, for the future, so you learn, yeah, because that's how I learned. If Karl gave you a new program, everything was exactly the same, and it was like, yeah, I'll just change the tempo so you get increased hypertrophy, yeah, which does have truth to it. How would you feel?
Probably not great.
Yeah, right? I'd be fucking bored, for one. And number two, I was like, fuck, I could have done that. I could have increased the tempo, you know? So also, like, I don't touch on this topic enough, which is, like, enjoyment and also training morale. But, like, yeah, you know what? Like, I know I'm someone that says, like, you know, fuck enjoyment, you know, like fuck you, do what you're told. And the thing is, I told Junior this as well. My clients don't argue with me anymore because I've told them very honestly, look, you can hate the exercise, and guess what? I can change it this phase, but you're gonna do it next phase, or like 3 phases from now. So you can get it over and done with, yeah, or not. It's up to you. You can do it now or later. Eventually, you're gonna do it. Yeah, but understand that at the same time, I would fucking hate it. And remember, there is only so much, like, I think Karl said like 6 to 8 sessions, was it? Of strength adaptation you can get from the same movement. Yeah, so you're keeping the same movement, you're not really changing anything but tempo. I don't think, it'll cause some adaptation, but not enough. Yeah. Yeah. So keep that in mind as well, because at the end of the day, guys, you got people paying you $120 per hour, if not more in the future, yeah? Make it worth the while. it is worth it. It is, you are asking for money, and they are trusting you with their lives so that you can change it because they're trusting you to give you guidance, and you're fucking with their bodies. Like make it worth it for them. Do more than you're paid for. And I'm not saying like go work for free all the time, but do more than you pay for. Go that extra mile. Give some extra thought. It can go a very long way. Cool. Anything else, Ed? Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah? Something to think about. No worries. Karl, before we finish, Karl, you said specificity? Question mark?
Be specific with your programs.
Yes.
Single leg calf raise. Seated, standing, single leg calf raise. Bicep curl, neutral, pronated, semi. Like, if you're not being specific, you're going to cause yourself headaches. And also, you'll have moments where clients go, like this morning, weight plate on forehead, line, like crunch. Yeah, what about it? How do I do it? Okay, weight plate on forehead, do a crunch. They're like, oh, that's what you meant. I'm like, well, yeah. Like, I type long answers, but like my coach types bigger ones because he thinks you got to remove what are the problems that this person's going to run into when they do it. Like when they're by themselves, single arm, supinated, D handle. Oh yeah, grab the D handle. Lat pull down. Okay, cool. And you teach them how to understand the anatomy, so then they can look after themselves. So yeah, be specific. Like I'm sorry, but that program just shows, like you've just kind of gone, like you probably haven't, but looking at it, it looks like you've just gone, change tempo, send, done. No, it doesn't look like any thought's gone into that. Not even like taking the time to go, what do I want to achieve? Standing single leg calf raise because I want to work the gastroc. Seated because obviously I want to work the soleus because she's doing a lot of running. I'm not saying that's what you've done, but that's how it can be perceived. So just be mindful, like taking that extra few minutes. So then you're setting yourself up. Like, I want them to squat. Okay, what do I need to do? Like, you guys should be able to make 3 to 4 programs, bang, 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 within an hour for the client. You should be able to know where you want to take them. Like, when I did Tats' program, I knew I wanted to get him really strong at squatting. But for Tats, he squatted all the time. I'm like, okay, I got to take him away from squats. So I'm going to start him at leg press. I hate leg press. Do leg presses, man. Yeah, but it's 100 reps. Just do the leg press. Did it, and then titrated it down into like lunges, versions of squats, then back-to-back squat. And he was back squatting an extra 40 kilos. And I was like, oh, wow. But like, if I was just like, I just do it because I said so. There's not really an explanation versus, look, you got 2 choices. You can either do the same exercise for 10,000 reps and you'll probably get better. Or you can do 300 to 500 rep variations every month. And within 3 to 4 months, see an increase in strength by 25%. Which one do you want? Potential in a year or 25% increase in strength in 3 to 4 months? 3 to 4 months. Cool. So that means we need to work the squat movement, but through variation. Leg press so we can get that full deep flexion of the knee. Because you're doing it on back squat, but I want to load it up with more weight, but in a controlled fashion where it's just the leg. We're not worrying about your trunk. Oh, cool. And then work lunges so we can work unilateral movements because we want to train the hip stabilizers. Then we're going to go into front squats, training the core because you're on the leg press. Yeah, we're working that isolation, but we're not getting enough probably core work. So then we're just going to, we're doing 3 separate variations and then we're going to bring it back together to do back squat. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. And that's why we're going to do this. So yeah, specificity is very important. That's why in goal setting, it's the first thing, specific.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just I think bring it back to the start of how we talk. if we think about how we started the conversation today, is if you went to a physio or a health professional and you had this problem, you're like, my shoulder hurts. And they go, yep, your shoulder hurts. That'll be $200. Well, fuck. Like, I remember, like, actually, I'll give you a real example. So I went to the doctor's, and one day, what had happened was a guy smashed my ankle, jumped on my foot. So fractured my ankle. And I walk in, she goes, what happened? I go, I had a guy jump on my ankle. I got pain in my ankle right here. I think he fractured it. She goes, okay. Just so everyone sees. She goes, oh! She's, oh, did that hurt? I went, yes. She goes, oh, yeah. You got to go see a surgeon to get that looked at. Just pay the guys the consult fee and then go to another hospital. I was like, what? I remember my dad like losing his shit. It's paid $120, so it was the quickest consult ever. And we left, and I went and saw the person. And he goes, yeah, looks like you fractured your ankle, but go get x-rays and go see this person. So I saw 3 different people. And I was just like, yeah, probably. Third person goes, oh, tell me what happened. I had someone jump my ankle. Oh, was it medial or lateral? It was on the outside. That's lateral. Oh, okay, cool. What were they wearing? Oh, they were wearing soccer boots. Like cleats, like steel or plastic? I think it was plastic. Okay, cool. If you were to score this out of 10, what's the pain? I can't stand on it, but it's probably a 7. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know it's been some time, but see if you can stand on it now. It feels a little bit better. She's like, cool. I'm just going to touch it. Oh, cool. So that's a 7. Yep. You see this? It's puffy. That's an state of inflammation. So just wanted to be clear that though you feel better, like you said you couldn't stand on it before, but now you can a little bit. That's because you've got inflammation in the joint. It's your picture. It's inflamed. So you've got your x-rays. Let's look at it. Yep. So we're going to have to put a cast on it. Look, it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks in the cast. So it's not actually a fracture. It's a hairline, like green stick hairline fracture. So it means like it's partially broken, but because I was young, it was obviously going to heal. So she goes, want to put you in a boot for 6 to 8 weeks. And then I'm going to recommend that you do prehab exercise because obviously in a boot, you're in a fixed position. It's going to limit your plantar dorsiflexion. So you'll have a difference between your left and right leg. And that is what it is, pretty much. But she was able to take that time where the other two are like, yeah, probably. Like, you spend $240 and you get the same answer that you just told them. Like, it hurts here. Yeah, it does hurt there. Thank you. Like, so don't be that person. Don't be that person. Because we all know we're all probably like, oh man, I would have hated to see those doctors, or I would have hated to see. And it's not just doctors. They always get a bad rap. It can be anyone, like any type of consult, any type of profession. It can happen with anyone. I can give you another examples, but like I'm seeing a specialist tomorrow. His customer service is terrible, but he's apparently the best guy to see. Receptionist's like, yeah, come at 10. Like, do you need any documentation? See you at 10. Like, do you want to confirm the address? Like, do you want, like, it was like I was an inconvenience for her. And I know what it's like. I'll get there and they'll be like, yeah, you're 10 minutes late. You told me 10 o'clock. Yeah, you're meant to be here 15 minutes early. You never told me that. So obviously I'm going to go early this time. And they go, you need to fill out this form. Fill out the form. And they're like, yeah, okay, thanks. Have a seat. Wait for him. You're like, oh, because you're late, like because it's now 10 o'clock. He's going to have his lunch later. I hope that's okay for you. So yeah, be specific, measurable, be achievable. Like these things are important, and it's when you reflect on the past of it, like in the moment, like for some people it's a minor thing, but it has a big impact. Like I'm frustrated from those experiences. So if you guys are thinking, oh, how would you respond? No, I wouldn't want to see that person, or I wouldn't want to go to that. Well, just be mindful of those little 1%ers that you do. That can make a big difference. Like, we got many on this call, and we're all like, "Yeah, check out our squat." Like, Case in point, progressing in the squat, 60, 65, 70, 75 kilos was like getting really heavy in the squat. I remember coming in the gym and like, yeah, check out your lifts. And I don't know the conversation that Jordan and Manny have had, but they've regressed in load, worked on form, and like I can physically see, I don't even know the story or what the plan is going on between the two of them, but I've seen massive improvement. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm messaging a pro, I'm like, check out your squat. That looks really good now. Like, look at that depth. Like telling Jordan, telling Manny, and then I'm sharing it. It's like, and just to explain it, I had no idea what their conversation was and what they were doing, but I saw a physical change. Now, remember, I'm not part of that. I wasn't part of that experience. Well, as the owner of the company, I kind of am, but I wasn't part of the experience for those two. But I'm getting excited for that experience and those people. Now, think about it. If we're all training 20 people and we all have someone following those people, there's another 20 people that you guys can be potentially speaking with or talking with or referring with just through the results and conversations that you have with the people in front of you. So you've got to be specific with what you're doing. You've got to really have those conversations. Some of you're like, oh, it's another 10 minutes. That's 20 clients. That's an extra 200 minutes a week. Yeah, but that 200 minutes that you implement can have a huge impact in your future, in the success of your clients. So yeah, be specific. And ask yourself, if it was to happen to you, how would you feel? Would you be like, or would you get excited about it? I know Maria gets excited, and Donna is now excited about the experience that they've had with me. But guys, it took 4 weeks for, Maria was pretty much ahead of it, but Donna had her own challenges. And we worked through those challenges. I was consistently staying there, one thing at a time, being specific with what we needed to work on. And now 4 weeks in, she's like, yes, I'm excited. Let's do